दिशन्तु मे देव सदा त्वदीयाः दयातरङ्गानुचरा कटाक्षाः श्रोत्रेषु पुंसाम् अमृतं क्षरन्तीं सरस्वतीं संश्रितः कामधेनुम्. Hoi polloi, a very good afternoon to the audience that is gathered for the 6th season of this beautiful South India Media Summit, and kudos to Shankar and the entire team whom I have had the pleasure of knowing for over half a decade. And I've been the squirrel that's traveled with them through different cities and seasons, from Hyderabad to Kovai in the past, to Madurai, to Cochin, to Bangalore, and very many dignitaries who have adorned this summit have been a part of my pensieve since she referred to Harry Potter at the commencement. I should bring in pensieve from the Goblet of Fire. Every session that I have been a part of, there will be a topic that Shankar, with such fervor, would give it to me. And that would largely be something related to the Indic scriptures and management principles. This time he said, why don't you do a number game? So I'm sure some of the sessions in the school days would be of mathematics post-lunch. So he has been extremely diligent enough to make this session of mine pre-lunch, taking absolute courtesy and magnanimity from the bottomest of his heart, knowing what full stomachs can do to number game. So that said, I'm in this beautiful city of Kovai, where I've delivered over like 200 lectures in the last 15 years in over 35 venues, starting from schools and colleges. So this city has been extremely welcoming, extremely good and loving. Tamizhil pesa vendum என்பதுதான் என்னுடைய ஆவா. ஆயினும் கன்னட மொழியை பேசக்கூடியவர்கள், தெலுங்கு மொழியில் உரையாடக்கூடியவர்கள், ஹிந்தி, மராட்டியில் இருக்கக்கூடிய ஆத்திகர்கள் இருப்பதால் எங்கிருந்தோ வந்தாலும் ஆங்கில பாஷையை தேர்ந்தெடுத்து நான் உரையாட வேண்டும் என்று இச்சைக்கிறேன். Since I've mentioned Kannada after Tamil, I wouldn't make the grave mistake of telling which language came from what. That said, every day, like any other day, today would have begun with a certain number. Wake up at 5 a.m., so the number 5 comes. Have breakfast at 6:30, 6:30 comes. What time did the session begin? 9:52. How many people were there? There were 3 panels, 5 members each, 4 plus 1. So everything is about number. How much ever we have liked, disliked, the prejudice that we have had for mathematics during school days or college days wouldn't stop us from appreciating the number that is credited as salary every month we see. So numbers is all that we have. So there's a very primary level, the way I take it. Every religion, every community has its own set of nice things to say. So from what I have bequeathed, from what I have learned, from what I have internalized are these teachings. So when we deal with Hinduism or Sanatana Dharma or the Vedic civilization, the way we call it, the way we perceive it, often the Western universities often call this religion polytheistic. We aren't polytheistic, we are polymorphic. We believe there is one truth that we see in various forms. So I'm just taking you through some simple numbers, then let's see what numbers can do to us. So how do we understand that one truth? So there are 2 paintings, one depictive of the beautiful sojourn of Rama, who happened to travel through the states of Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Maharashtra, some parts of Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, finally with some very diligent Vanaras, who knew what deadlines were, was able to construct a bridge to retrieve his wife from the clutches of a tyrant demon who was housed near Sita Kutuba and Nuvara Iliya of Sri Lanka. So that's Ramayana, that's one scripture to us. There's another scripture that deals with a beautiful dark-skinned woman who was the prettiest woman of her times, called Draupadi, who had the best friend in Krishna. And their journey, which becomes a compendium of 1,25,000 verses, called Mahabharatam. So from one truth, we go to two books that teach us the truth. And then we have Tripathaga Ganga, when this little boy who came as a dwarf, whose pituitary gland at that point in time malfunctioned and he came as a dwarf called Vamana, he measured the worlds with the waters of Ganga that were poured from the pot of Brahma, from his abode to the beautiful lotus-like feet of Vamana, touching the matted locks of Shiva. Shivanudaya Shirassil விழுந்த கங்கையானது திருமாலின் காலில் பட்டதாம், அதே கங்கையானவள் Brahmavin Kamandalatil irundalam. Since she has the association of three deities, she is called Tripathaga. So the number 3 is seen there. Then we have 4. So we have Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. We earn and live a lifestyle, at least yearn to live a lifestyle that sticks to certain values. So that's Dharma. But to live a life of certain values, then I need to start working. So I start earning. So I make money. So that is Artha. Then I enjoy a life of passion. I go to a theme park, whichever way you see it, that becomes Kama. And then I finally trek the Himalayas. So I seek moksha. People often ask, how would you relate this to vehicles in India? I say somebody whom we hold very close to our hearts is Hanuman, and one of his very many names is Maruti. So you travel by the car, you go help the society, that's Dharma. You travel for work to earn, that becomes Artha. You go to a same theme park in the same car, it's Kama. And you pray that the opposite person doesn't take you to moksha while you're driving. So there is one vehicle with 4 wheels that teaches the Purusharthas. So we have the Pancha Linga Sthalas, all 5 of them in the earlier Madras presidency, now of course in 2 states. We have Akashad Vayuhu Vayor Agnihi Agnerapaha Adbhyav Prithvi. We've got the 5 elements. Akasha Sthalam is Chidambaram. We have Vayu Sthalam, which is Srikalahasti in Andhra Pradesh. We have Agni Sthalam, which is called Arunachaleshwaram or Tiruvannamalai. We have Appu Sthalam, which is the sthala of water, which is Tiruvanekka or Tiruvanekkaval in the beautiful hamlet or islet formed in the fresh waters of Kaveri in Srirangam. And finally is the Prithvi Sthalam of Kanchipuram. 6. Now this is season 6 for the summit. Shan Mukha. Shat is 6. Shan Mukha is Kartikeya Muruga, who is extremely loved amongst various states, of course in the state of Tamil Nadu. Shanmukha. 7, the beautiful esoteric 7 steps that the couple take in their lifetime. Now, like this I can keep going on. And it all depends on the person who makes and articulates such slides that you can come up with numbers. Suppose I say the number 5050. What comes to our mind? Trump and his gift for India. That was 50, right? So every number has its own significance, but that's not where I'm going to take you. We have a letter, the letters of the Sanskrit alphabet, which most languages, Indian languages, follow. There is an A, I, E. And then we have these letters, Ka, Ka. For those of you who can't read Devanagari script, trust me, I'm showing you Devanagari script. That will help you to sit through the production. So you have Ka, Ka, Ga, Ga, Nga. So if you look at this, so what I'm going to do is, do you see the letter Ka there? Those of you who can read. So you go downwards, Ka, Ka, Ga, Ga, Nga. Next line, Cha, Cha, Ja, Ja, Nya. Similarly, the letters go in Devanagari. The beauty is, languages have no politics. We make politics out of it. Languages talk to each other with absolutely no prejudice or hatred. Tamil, which is one of the oldest classical languages, just not of Bharatam but of the world, has a similar style. Now you see on the left in Devanagari, ka, kha, ga, gha, nga. In Tamil, you have the first and the last letter, ka, ga. Similarly, cha, cha, ja, ja, nya. The next set of letters will be cha, nya. Ka, nga, cha, nya, ta, na, ta, na. So this is how the Tamil letters go. Now, so I've pointed those letters for you. What is special now in this number system? Bar my singing, because I have to kind of tell you what this demonstrates. There's a very famous Telugu movie which received a plethora of national awards. It was called Shankarabharanam. And the very veteran singer SPB sang such immortal songs for the movie. There came this song. Omkaranadanu santana mauganame idi Shankara bharanamu. A very famous line. This song is in the ragam Shankara Bharanam. The name of the tune is Shankara Bharanam. How do I understand Shankara Bharanam? I'm sure some of you will be music experts, some of you will be new to music. Trust me, what I'm speaking is the truth. Though I don't have a Gita book to swear on, trust me. So this is the Shankara Bharanam Arohanam. So it is Sarigama Padhani Sa Nidhapama. This is Shankara Bharanam. Now, there is another ragam called Kalyani. For example, Mannavan Vandanadi Tori Varaha Nadikaravoram. This is in the ragam Kalyani. What is the tune for that? Sarigama. The beauty is Shankara Bharanam and Kalyani are two strong ragas which I'm sure the great maestro Ilayaraja would have used in at least 2000 songs. But you know what differentiates the two? It is Ma1. If you see M1 and there in Kalyani it's M2. Just one Ma differentiates two ragas. Sarigama, Sarigama, Ma, Ma. How do we bring that into the number system in India? Now, I told you M1 and M2. This is the entire raga circle with which composers work. There if you see, I have mentioned on the left hand side, Mecha Kalyani. The name of the raga is Mecha Kalyani. On the other hand, you have Dhira at the bottom. If you can see it, it's called Dhira. And that's the name of the ragam, Dhira Shankara Bharanam. How do we learn in music? Now, this Mecha corresponds to a certain digit. Do you see the ka, kha, ga, ga, nga? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Cha, cha, ja, ja, nya, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0. Ta, tha, da, dha, na, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ta, tha, da, dha, na, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0. Pa, pa, ba, bha, ma, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ya, ra, la, va, sha, sha, sa, ha. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is called Katapayadi Sankhya. It's very important to music. Now, let's take the word Kalyani, Mecha. Pa, pa, ba, bha, ma. Ma is 5. Cha, cha, ja, ja, nya. Cha is 6 because from ka it becomes 6. So, Mecha is 5, 6. In numbering system in India, you will have to reverse the number. So, 56 becomes 65. So, the number assigned to Kalyani Raga is 65. Similarly, you take Dhira Shankara Bharanam, it will be 292, reverse it 29. How does this work in our system? I'm sure you all know Bhishma Charya was one of the overlived human beings during the Mahabharata war. Arjuna pushed him to a bed of arrows, and towards the end of his lifetime, Yudhishthira had a plethora of questions to ask. So he asked Krishna, I have a set of questions to ask. Krishna said, your brother Arjuna has had his fair share of asking over 71 questions to me. So I am in no mood to answer your questions. There is one ancestor of yours who is lying on the bed of arrows. Go ask him. So Yudhishthira goes and asks 6 questions to Bhishma, who was in his bed of arrows. And Bhishmacharya answers. This set of questions and answers posed by Yudhishthira and Bhishma is called Vishnu Sahasranamam, a set of 1,000 names. Andal says, Namamayiram Yettanindra Narayana Narane Unnai Mamittan Maganaga Petral Yamakkuvadai Tavirume Kaman Podarukkalam என்று பங்குனினாள் கடை பாரித்தோம் தீமை செய்யும் சிறீதரா எங்கள் சிற்றில் வந்து சிதையேலே. This is a Nachiyar Tirumozhi verse. So, 1,000, because if I say 1,000 names, there will be 1 or 2 people who will say, oh, this didn't exist in the Tamil tradition. I have to give you 4 or 5 references from the Sangam literature, how the 1,000 names was known to the Tamil people. Now, the 1,000 names were given by Bhishmacharya. This was extremely famous, very revered, very beautiful. Parvati had a very practical question. She said, people have time to do cardio. People have time to do 10,000 steps. But they wouldn't have time to recite the 1,000 names. Give me a shortcut. So she asked this in Sanskrit. Kena upayena laghuna vishnor nama sahasrakam patyater panditair nityam shrotumichhamyaham prabho. Hey Shiva, give me a shortcut. That is when he said, if a devotee is so time pressed, so that person can recite Rama Namam thrice. Shri Rama, 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 Iti Rame Rame Manorame. So 3 times you recite Rama Namam, it is equivalent to 1,000 names. How did this come? Just about 2 minutes, 25 seconds back, I showed you Ka Kha Ga Ga Nga. So Ya Ra La Va, Ra is 2. Pa Pa Ba Bha Ma, Ma is 5. So she said Rama, Ra is 2, Ma is 5. Reverse it, 5 into 2, 10. Rama, 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 10 into 10 into 10, 1,000. So this 1,000 names is equal to, this is how all our mathematical formula that was formulated by Aryabhatta follows this system. Now, if you see Mahabharata, the original name of Mahabharata is not Mahabharata. It has a different name. The work isn't called Mahabharata by Vyasa. He says, Narayanam namaskritya naranchaiva narottamam. So Mahabharata is not called Mahabharata in its compendium. You know what is it called? It is called Jaya. Why? Because the entire Mahabharata has 18 chapters. One of the chapters is Bhishma Parva that talks about the war that happened for 18 days. So 18 chapters, 18 days of war, and how many chapters that Bhagavad Gita have? 18. How many battalions of people fought on both sides? 11 on Duryodhana's side, 7 on Pandava's side, 11 plus 7, 18. How many chariots fought? If you see the number, 21,870 chariots. You add 2 plus 1 plus 8 plus 7 plus 0, you'll get 18. So anything in Mahabharata is 18. So how is this related to Jaya? Because Ja corresponds to the number 8. Ya corresponds to the number 1. Any number you'll have to reverse. 8, 1 becomes 18. So Mahabharata was called Jaya because every number of Mahabharata has 18 in it. Now, this is a very intriguing as well as a very surprising thing that happened in Tamil Nadu. Once in 40 years, a beautiful idol of Vigraha of Varadaraja is taken out from the temple tank of Kanchipuram. It is believed that this Vigraha is made up of fig wood. So he is called Atti Varadar. If you remember, the year 2019 was replete with people standing in queues. Now there is a beautiful Pasuram in Tamil of the 6th century by Boodattalvar who says, Attiyuran Pullayurvan Animaniyin Tuttiser Nagattin Mel Tuyilvan Mutti Marayavan. So this is a beautiful Tamil verse that sings praise of Atti Varadar. There he says Mutti. He says there are 3 kinds of fires. What are those 3 kinds of fires? People who propitiate fire in the morning and in the evening are called Agnihotris. Now, I'm sure we have heard of Agnihotris directing movies as well. Erstwhile, they used to engage with fire. Now, this is the place where that is conducted. If you see a circular Agni Kundam on the left, you see a square-shaped Agni Kundam at that corner. Now, how will we use this? So the rule is, the area, whatever you construct the circle has to be the same area of the square, which means side into side has to equal the area of the circle. But for circle, there is a certain element which we need to bring in. That's called the pi value. Because you've got the pi r square, wo pi aana chahiye. So how do we design that? Aryabhatta gives you a formula. He says, Chatur adhika shatam. Shata is 100. Chatuhu is 4. Chatur adhika shatam. 4 more than 100. 100 plus 4, 104. Ashtagunam. Multiply it with 8, he says, which makes it 832. Then he says, Dva Sashti. Sashti is 60. Dva is 2. Dva Sashti is 62. Sahasranam 1000, 62,000. So he says 62,000 plus 832. 62,832 divided by Ayuta Dvaya. Ayuta is 10,000. Dvaya is 2. 2 into 10,000, 20,000. 62,832 divided by 20,000. Vritta Parinahaha. Using that value, you construct the Agnikundam, which will be 3.1416, which is the pi value. So this pi value is given by Aryabhatta using the same formula. So our assumption that just because we had a 8-semester course in engineering in a Mudichur road or somewhere, we are the ones who are replete with mathematical knowledge, and people who lived before us were barbarians and uncivilized and did not know anything will just put us into a very, very worthless bauble. So people knew much before us. I'm sure 80 years before, if you would look at your great-grandmother, she wouldn't have read Maslow's hierarchy or the SWOT analysis, but she knew with 8 daughters how to manage her finances and get them all married. And with one child, we suffer to the core today what to do. So my point is to never look at the past with an element of disgust or with an element that I know and they don't know. Now, this is simply to say how pi value is derived. This is how formula work. Now, this is, typically if you're from Kerala, you will know. This is one of those vessels which is available in different sizes to make a payasam where you buy A2 organic grass-fed milk in the morning and then put it into it and use an entire cylinder of gas, and by the time it's 6:30, you'll be having a very, very sumptuous, delicious cup of payasam. So this is a big uruli which they bring in the temple of Kerala. Now if I talk of payasam, I'm sure we've got savory specialists here. In the morning we had Krishna Sweets, so there are so many brands. Sweet Karam Coffee is here, so there are so many brands here. But when you think of payasam, there is one payasam that comes to the mind of all of us. It's a place called Ambalappuzha in Kerala. And how is this payasam so very famous in Ambalappuzha? There is a charitram to it. It says that there was a Raja called Chembakacheri Devanarayana. This Chembakacheri Devanarayana had so much time to play a lot of indoor games that one day he wanted to engage in the game of Chaturanga, which is chess. So it is said that he was so very flamboyant and turned arrogant that he thought nobody could win over him. There was no Gukesh then, but then he was wondering who can win me over. That is when it is said that the Lord appeared as a very, very frail old woman, and she said, I would like to engage in a game with you. And what was the challenge point? So she said, as I keep winning, we need to keep a grain of rice on the first square. So she said, as I keep winning, it needs to get doubled in the consecutive squares. He thought it was into 2, it was square. So by the time they completed the chess game, the king realized that to give her that amount of rice, he needs the entire rice production of the world from Vietnam to every other country and has to wait for 10 years. So this is the calculation of how much rice had to be given. It came to about 1,600 times the global production of what we have today. That is when the king said, I will not be able to supply you in one go. That is when the Lord is said to have revealed in an ethereal voice that instead of giving it to me at one go, take a handful and start making payasam out of it. Until the end of Kali Yuga, all your metric tons would have gotten exhausted by then. So today, till date, even during the COVID times, because I heard one of the panelists from Kerala speak from demonetization to GST to 2 years. So even during the time of COVID pandemic, payasam was made. I don't know how many of them came and consumed, but to keep up the promise of the metric tons of rice to get exhausted, this was done. So number game is just not about how much numbers I know, how the past has dealt with it. This is one. Do you see this 100 rupee note? I'm sure many of you would have gone cashless, but in this beautiful country of India, this is the 100 rupee note that we all see. Do you see a monument there? You know what monument is this? It's called a Rani Ki Vav. Rani Ki Vav is found in the state of Gujarat, and it's near a place called Patan, and it's a beautiful step well. It is said that in the 11th century, there was a king called Bhima I, and he went on a war expedition. And his wife Udayamati thought, she knew that her husband is so valorous, filled with prowess, that he will win over the war and he will come. She thought of gifting him something unique. And knowing the water crisis around that region, she constructed a step well. And when her husband returned victorious from the war, she said, take this step well. So this step well is a UNESCO heritage site that you see in your 100 rupee note. This is the wall of the step well there. If you go to that step well, which is still usable, you can go there. On the walls, you see beautiful patterns. Now, there is a story. There were a group of people who lived in that region because in Gujarat, the line Tropic of Cancer passes. Tropic of Cancer is 23 degrees north. And Surya, sun god, is called by various names. One of the names is Saura. Hence, that place where Saura is revered is called as Saurashtra. So people who lived in that part of Gujarat around this step well, they were called Saurashtras. And since it was a very arid region, agriculture was not very prominent, they were engaged in making textiles. Now to make beautiful textiles, you need prints. So they used to walk down the step well, look at these patterns, and then used to make block prints on that sari. That is called patola in Gujarat. So this step well is what makes it very special. Now, came the 13th, 14th, 15th century of invasions in Gujarat. So people who had to protect their family and themselves and their lives and their livelihood started migrating from Saurashtra of Gujarat, came across Maharashtra, Karnataka, and came to Tamil Nadu and settled around Madurai. Because Nayaks, Tirumalai Nayaka and all of them ruled, and they found a safe place there to live. Now Saurashtras came and settled in Madurai. But they felt so very dejected that they had to leave their place. They found that their entire life was a zero. Because of all numbers, zero is so important. Zero is called as shunyam in Sanskrit. That, when colloquially said, becomes sunnam. And that became a certain print. The zero that you see became a print called sungudi. If you see in Madurai, you get the Saurashtra people who make that sungudi, right? So when they thought that their life was empty, they came with zero, and that zero became the design for sungudi. So how Saurashtra of Gujarat has traveled zero all the way to Madurai. It doesn't stop there. Now the moment they started seeing some greener pastures in their life, they thought of dedicating this to the goddess of Madurai. And till date, every night, Saurashtra people in Madurai dedicate a white Sungudi sari to Meenakshi every day. So this number system has not inspired only prasadams, it has inspired even textiles. So this is that picture that completes it. Now, the entire concept of this number that I thought, going slightly tangential to my regular management or spiritual lectures, was to say that we have always been a country that has relied and respected mathematics to the core. Even people who sit by the elevated platforms outside their traditional village houses called Thinnai are called Ganapati. Ganapati means people who calculate and recite Vedas. So Ganam means counting. And we have completely relied, else you wouldn't have beautiful temples constructed if people had no idea of what numbers were. So even our simple recipes are about 7-cup cake. So take this one, take this 2, take this 3, take this 4. Right from food to mathematics, to textiles, to architecture, this country has relied so much on numbers. So this entire presentation, a very short presentation in a very short period of time, because trust me, in IIT Mumbai, IIT Bombay, we have a department where one of the very learned scholars called Professor Ramasubramaniam heads it. He deals with how integral calculus came from the state of Kerala through a school called Sangamagrama. 350 years before the Europeans could find integral series. So this is a beautiful research that all of you should read called Madhava series of Kerala, which has been researched in the IIT Bombay department by Professor K. Ramasubramaniam. So if you take from Manjula Bhargava to Professor Ramasubramaniam to Srinivasa Ramanujam, this civilization has loved mathematics so much. So now I am way past my assigned 32 minutes, so which is also a number. So everything is a number game. So I would like to thank all of you for your patience. So, you know, there is food outside and food for thought as well. Keep munching the numbers as well as the food so that we start loving mathematics, because in my humble personal opinion, mathematics is a subject that you can never hate. It just loves, and imagine all the numbers translate into money, you'll start loving mathematics even more. Thank you.
Did you want this session to stop? There you go. That's how amazing it was. Thank you. And thank you for celebrating our wonderful culture and reminding all of us, from the food that we eat to the saris that we wear, there is so much richness in us that no other civilization, no other country can compete. Ladies and gentlemen, India is awesome. India is amazing. Thank you. Thank you so very much for reminding us about the richness of my beautiful country. On that note, may I please invite Mr. Ramesh Ramakrishnan, Chairman, Transport Dubai, to honor our wonderful speaker on the stage.